somewhere, still in a basement, the continuation of the last episode.
Part 2.
Part 2. Part 2. So, we're just going to jump right into it. If you listen to the previous episode, if you haven't, go back, stop it right here. Don't listen to this one. Go back to the other one.
Because it won't make sense.
It won't make sense. Yeah. Oh, shout out. Meryl, go ahead.
Oh, yes. We would like a comment. So if we're not in the echo chamber all by ourselves, please leave a comment saying, I exist.
We beg you.
Yes. I exist. I'm a real person. I am not a bot.
Check the box before you comment, please.
Please select all of the pictures, panes that have a car, or we'll have some kind of bot deterrent device in our comments.
Actually, we won't, but
no.
So, anyway, on to the topic at hand. I had been dealing with a really rough time in my life. Heard that the Aquabats are playing a free show. Packed my kids up. Went down. It was an open air venue. And I dressed in full Aquabats gear. And got my daughter some Aquabats gear. My son just wore noise canceling headphones. And my wife stood in the back of the thing and watched. My daughter was on my shoulders the entire concert, freaking out. Loving it. She didn't know any, well, okay, she knew 3 or 4 of the songs because I still had played my old CDs from back when I was a teenager.
You had a full Aquabats CD set, I remember that. Even the rare, which one was the rare one? I think it was the Return, right?
Yeah, the Return was hard to find, but now it's easy to find. You can get it on Amazon. But the crazy thing is, my daughter loved it, and you know, when you're a parent, just so you guys know, if you're not a parent, you will start living vicariously through your children's joy. That's how you receive joy now. You know, you used to go have joy on your own, but then life hits you in the face and sometimes below the belt at this time in my life. And so I was just watching my daughter have the time of her life. It even got better. We ran backstage, and as the Aquabats were coming off, we were behind the barrier, but I yelled to Crash. Crash is my favorite because he's a bigger guy, reminds me of myself. And I yelled to Crash, and he came over, and the MC Bat Commander came over. And the other guys, I really, no offense, I didn't really care much because at this time I hadn't been an Aquabat follower, so I didn't even remember.
You were targeting the original members.
The original members that I remembered, like, you know, sorry Jimmy, you know. But I wanted the MC and Crash. They posed with my daughter for pictures, gave her high fives. They were stellar, and so from then on, I was like, that was great. But I thought that's where it would end for me again, and I just forget about the Aquabats again. But little did I know that on Netflix, the entire first season of a TV show that they had created that I didn't even know existed was on Netflix. That began the next year and a half of replaying that season on repeat over and over and over and over and over and over. And probably the 350th time that I watched an episode, I would laugh even harder than the first time that I watched it. So, Meryl, you recently watched an episode.
Well, so it's called the Aquabats Super Show, right? And they won an award. Ding-a-ling-ling-ling. TV award.
TV award.
But my Aquabats days were long gone. I enjoyed them as a ska band when the revival was really hot. So I didn't go to this free concert. I hadn't listened to an Aquabats song in probably 4 or 5 years when the other day Nick said, Meryl, you've got to take a look at this Aquabats Super Show revival. They're doing a Kickstarter, right?
That's right.
A little background, you can probably fill it in better than me about the Hub network they were on.
Yeah, so they were on the Hub before it went to Netflix, and the Hub disappeared, and so the show only made it through 1.5 seasons, and one Christmas special, which isn't my favorite, but the Aquabat Super Show, I actually own the Blu-ray Season 2 and the DVD Season 1, and we still watch it. It's not on Netflix anymore, unfortunately, sorry, But luckily, they've uploaded most of season 2 onto YouTube. You can watch for free, Aquabats, season 2 or whatever. But here's the thing. The Aquabats have become a lot bigger part of my life now that I've watched that over and over and over and listened to their music some more. And 2 years ago, I dressed my entire family up as Aquabats for Halloween. Got my daughter.
How many people recognize what you were, though? That's the question.
About 10.
That's
10
pretty
people.
good.
Yeah.
10 people for a band that's, you know, I wouldn't say they're a pop icon in an overall sense, in a macro sense, but for a micro, for a small set of dedicated fans, what is it called? The Righteous.
Well, they're Aqua Cadets. They're calling a legion of righteous comrades but it's Aqua Cadets.
Aqua Cadets, yeah. So I mean, they're diehard, man. So this band shouldn't go away.
And most of the diehards are really nerdy. It's kind of dorky, backwards people, me included, I guess.
Well, looking at your ID here, yeah.
I got my Aqua Cadets fan club card here, and boy, I was there.
You were living the dream. So Nick tells me about this Kickstarter, and the whole point of the Kickstarter, check out their video, Aquabats Kickstarter. You just Google that, you'll find it. But it's got like Jack Black, Travis Barker, who was an Aquabat. Barker? Is it
yeah,
Barker?
It's Barker.
Travis Barker, the drummer for Blink-182, right?
Yeah.
He's done a lot of different bands. He's played even sessions with certain bands. But yeah, he used to be an Aquabat. He's in the video. There's a lot of cameos in there.
And Weird Al Yankovic, actually.
Yeah, Weird Al's there too. So it's a really cool video. I enjoyed watching it, and I hadn't seen the Aquabats in years. So I turned on the show, and I just looked at the free ones that you mentioned are on YouTube. It was season 2, and I watched 2 episodes with my 2 sons, right? And they're younger, 7, 9, and they were dying, and I thought it was awesome. So not when Nick said, "Merrill, you've got to give to this Kickstarter," I was like, I don't care about the Aquabats. I'm not spending a dime on this. But Nick has a passion. I mean, he really wants this to be successful. So I checked out the show, and I think I'm probably going to donate to the Kickstarter.
That would be rad. But
super rad.
Where does a passion come from? Emotional, right? It's an emotional connection. Why do I care about the Aquabats? And here's the downright straight up reason. I was in such a depressive state at the time when I went to this concert, right? That for the first time in my life, I've been self-medicating with self-help books and all that stuff. I reached out for help to a professional and actually went in and saw someone. The experience made it even worse, and it sucked. But that's where I realized I needed some help. I needed something to change my trajectory mentally. I went to this concert, watched my daughter have the time of her life, and watched these episodes. They were running in my home for a year and a half straight. And over that year and a half, and I'm not going to give all the credit to the Aquabats, of course. Like, that's not what I'm saying here. But when you surround yourself with upbeat, slapstick, like, reminds me of when I was this little dude, this little baby-faced kid on this card, I'm holding in my hand, Aqua Cadets fan club card. I was happy. Every time I went and listened to the music and everything I did, I was truly happy. Because my mental state, I was focusing on happy things. That's what the Aquabats do. Before I started listening to the Aquabats again, I was listening to bands like Linkin Park and 21 Pilots. And I still love 21 Pilots, but their songs, they are teetering on, are you going to overcome your depression or are you going to stay there forever? Like, that's the whole genre is, I'm depressed, I hate my life, but maybe there's a slight possibility it won't be this way forever, but I'm still right there depressed. And you can tell how depressed I am at any given moment if I'm in the mood to listen to certain types of music. If I'm in the mood to listen to Aquabats, which, by the way, I set to wake up to Best Day of My Life by the Aquabats. It says, today is going to be the best day of my life. And it just goes through and just says that through the whole song, with a couple other things. And you can tell that I'm on, like, looking positive if you're going to listen to that, right? But if you're going to listen to Nobody Can Save Me Now by Linkin Park, that's when you know I'm not in a really good mental state. So, and 21 Pilots is, like I said, is right in the middle. But the Aquabats helped me be upbeat and happy and be where I am now. So that's why this Kickstarter is hitting so close to home. They only have it till September 1st, 2018, because you might be listening to this in 20 years. I don't know. September 1st is the last day. They're going to do, if you've seen UHF, they do this telethon at the end. They're going to do that too. But donate early, donate often. Help us get to the Kickstarter goal. It's bringbacktheaquabats.com if you want more information. And hashtag We Are the Aquabats and Aquabats Kickstarter. Aquabats Super Show. But yeah, a lot of Aquabats stuff talked about today, but that's really, it's kind of on my mind.
Yet again, Nick domineers the conversation.
Hey, it's the Aquabats, man.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry.
No, it's no problem. Yeah, so I was introduced to the show, and I enjoyed it. So check it out. Yeah, at least take a look. If you're not going to comment, at least look at the Kickstarter. But myself, after kind of that cheesy Aquabats phase, I went more punk rock like you with the Dookie and Green Day, and then into some of the majors, mainstream punk rock, NoFX, and my favorite band is still Thrice. They've evolved.
One of my faves.
Thrice has evolved over the years. They're not one of these bands who tries to pretend like they're still in their early 20s. Their sound actually changes and improves in my mind. So Thrice is probably my favorite band. I've seen them live multiple times.
Now, one thing about their live stuff that I've heard, it sounds too good.
It sounds exactly like the records, almost. I mean, they're that good.
Yeah, they do a really good job. Deadbolt is one of the best songs in the history of songs. And
their drummer, his name is skipping my mind. But when they do acoustic sets, it's man. Tepe is the backup guitarist, and he does a really good job with the backing guitar and the backing vocals. I mean, just their live sets are so good. But beyond that, yeah, I would say my recent love as far as music, I really enjoyed going to a concert nearby for Five for Fighting. And I thought I'd see five guys, but it's one dude playing all the songs, and he is amazing live. And his concerts are a little low key. You have your blanket spread out. You've got the wine bottle for those wine bibbers.
A little bit of cheese.
A little bit of cheese there. But his live was amazing. So Five for Fighting in town, definitely check it out. He's a storyteller. He tells you about the background to his songs, and it's just engaging. So I'd recommend them.
Now, one last domineering subject.
Back to the Aquabats?
Just to wrap up. No.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Just to wrap up my whole musical situation. Sublime. So
Sublime.
Sublime was my favorite band. I literally loved everything about Sublime. They could do no wrong. I actually left and went out and did some service for a while up in Wyoming. Helping the old folks' homes and doing all sorts of, dig ditches, move sprinkler, also the service stuff. While I was out there, I actually went to a small town called Casey, Wyoming. Now, in Casey, Wyoming, if you don't know about Casey, Wyoming, they have a megastar that lived there.
Oh.
And
oh.
and I actually got to go out to a ranch and meet this awesome cowboy gentleman. And
who ruined your life? Go ahead.
I actually never, ever thought that I'd like country music, but I met Chris Ledoux. Chris Ledoux changed my entire life. Some of my favorite artists, Chris Ledoux is one of them. George Strait. I own a ton of George Strait. I love country music now, but only a certain style, and it's George Strait, Garth Brooks, Chris Ledoux, that kind of stuff.
Anyway. I guess even if I don't like their music, they can be good people.
Yeah, Chris.
And you met him.
George, most number one hits ever by any artist. Anyway, that wraps up our time here at 15 Minutes of the Basement. and we're super glad that you listened.
Notice
Make a comment.
Notice how he said George. George.
George.
George.
George.